So yet another question on capital budgeting in which we're going to look at the net present value. And this is a question that you may see on your final exam. It could be also a portion of a complex problems, but it could also be seen on assessments and projects. So how do we solve these questions effectively? How do we make sense of them? How do we make sure that we're going to be able to know what to do if we see them ourselves on an exam? In this video, we're going to look at all of that. You're going to make sense of everything, and it's going to be beautiful. So let's get into it together. So Jake and Sarah are looking into an investment, okay, at a cost of $141,000 and 805. All right, so that's their initial investment. And note that their after-tax cash flows will be $91,000 per year for 3 years. Okay, what is the NPV of this project? And I guess we'll highlight it in red because it's our mission. That's what we're solving for. So we want to know what's the NPV of this project if the couple's discount rate is going to be 10.28%. Okay, 10.28%. So before we begin, I'm a very big fan of always trying to highlight, well, what is our formula here? What can we use when we're looking at the net present value? Luckily for you, this is actually quite easy. Net present value essentially is going to be equal to the present value of your future cash flows. Okay, so you could call it of your cash flows minus your initial investment. Okay, that's really the formula that I would like to coin when we're looking at the NPV. You're going to solve for the present value of all the cash flows that you are to expect, and then you're going to subtract your initial investment, the money that you had to spend today. And in this case, it's pretty straightforward. When we look at the question, we know that, okay, our initial investment will be the cost of this project for Jake and Sarah. In this case, we quickly and clearly see that it's $141,805. And our cash flows that we expect to receive, well, hey, it's going to be the 91 grand that we're going to receive per year for 3 years. So, you know, at T1, you'll be receiving 91K, at T2, you'll be receiving 91K, and at T3, you'll be receiving 91K. So that's amazing news. Okay, so this is going to be our payment. Okay, and then we could say that, of course, you know, you're solving for the NPV, so that's our unknown. And our discount rate is equal to 10.28%. So far, things are going good. Okay, now there's a few ways to actually go about this. You can go about this in 2 different and distinct methods. One, okay, so if I guess we could go here and highlight problem. The first way to go about this, and I'll kind of create a structure for y'all, is by using essentially the formulas, okay? So you would solve, all right? You would solve for the present value of your normal annuity in this case, right? Because you're getting some cash flows for a specific amount of time that are occurring at the end of the year and are the same every single year. Or you could use the calculator method. Okay. And the calculator method will require you to use the CF plus NPV method, okay? Or function, I guess. I'm going to give you a good overview of both of them because why not, right? In this video, you'll understand how to use the formula method or the calculator method. Now, just to give you some context, the formula method is important because on exams, you may deal with some complex setups in which they still want you to solve for the NPV. And it's going to be a very long and annoying process and I guess mistake-prone process if you were to use your calculator. Your calculator is an amazing tool when you want to run through questions that are as easy as this one. Okay, so that's the context. Let's begin with the harder one. Let's begin with the first segment, which would be using our formulas. So if we were to use our formula, in this case, we know, right? If I were to just build an arrow right here, we know that the NPV will be equal to our present value, that's how I'll write it for now, minus our initial investment. In this case, we know that we're going to have a normal annuity. And we're going to subtract our initial investment. Now, what's really interesting, is that your normal annuity is something that we saw in chapter 5, right? You could also use a calculator for this part, or you could use like the literal formula that we saw that you would find within your flowchart. At this point, it's to your own discretion. It's really, really, really up to you. I'm going to go ahead and plug it in within my formula, and you could try to do so as well. I'm going to do it quickly, just such that, we're going at a good rate. So 1,000. I'm going to go and assume that my math is correct. So for your normal annuity, for the 91 grand that you are expected to receive every single year, you should get 235,888.53. And then of course your CF0, this is something we know, this is something we've seen, it'll be 141,805. And then you would not even assume, you would compute that your NPV would be equal to, if I plug it in myself, because this is my first time doing the question, you would get that it's equal to, let me see if I'm on good time here. Whoops. I'm sorry, on my calculator, I'm not gonna lie, I put a different number. So I made a little mistake. Sorry about that. I'm just going to change my normal annuity. You're probably freaking out. You're like, what is going on here? This guy's crazy. Sorry about that. You would get 225,192.63. In my model, I put it as a growing annuity. I'm so sorry about that. But now you would get that your NPV is equal to 83,387.63. That's how you'd find the answer throughout the first method, right? Using the formula. Now, if you're going to use the calculator is a walk in the park for these types of questions because it doesn't require any heavy lifting. So what you would do is you're going to open your calculator and you're going to use the CF function that you see right here. Okay, the CF function right here. So you're going to press CF. You're going to do second clear work just to make sure that everything's okay. You're going to go on CF and you're going to place in your CF0 as being 141,805. Okay, so you're going to do enter. So now you have 141,805 for your CF. Notice how it should be a negative number. It should look just like this. So minus 141,805. So that's your CF0. Then you're going to press a down arrow. All right, and you're going to see something that looks like CO1. And I guess I'm going to write every single one of these myself on the screen. Okay, sorry about that. Just got an important email. I was like, oh, what is that? So I'll write it on the screen as well so you could really see what's going on. So we would have our CF0 once again as being minus 141,805. Okay. Then we would go arrow down. So I guess I'll do that. And you would get CO1. CO1, essentially what it highlights a cash flow, right? But what's awesome is that we know here that we only have one type of cash flow, and that's $91,000. And what's awesome is if you go arrow down once more after you press enter, of course, you're going to get FO1. And FO1 is an interesting one. No pun intended. FO1, what it's trying to highlight, the frequency. How many times will this cash flow actually occur? Okay, so I could maybe put this in a different color so it's really like comprehensive there. This is the frequency. Okay, in this case, we know that this cash flow is going to be happening for 3 years. So you could put FO1 as being equal to 3. So you do that, press enter, and that's all you need. Once you have that, okay, once you've plugged that in, you could then press NPV. So you're going to click NPV right here. Okay, click NPV. And then you're going to plug in your interest rate. In this case, your interest rate is equal to 10.28. All right, so you're going to go ahead and plug in 10.28. You're going to do enter. Then you're going to go arrow down and you're going to do compute NPV. And that's going to give you the answer. So you're going to do compute NPV and look at that. You get the same answer that we got earlier. Of course, I'm pretty sure this is not going to mirror itself, but you get the notion here. You're going to get $83,000 turned to 87.63. Okay, so you get the same amount. Now, the reason why I did this, okay, I know it's simple, I know it's annoying, and I even made a mistake myself because I plugged in the wrong thing on my Excel. But what I do want you to understand is that these things can be done in different fashions, and you could choose the one that works best for you. You got a step-by-step on how to use the formulas or on how to use a calculator. Both methods are fine. Choose them wisely though. On an exam, you want to go with the one that you're the most comfortable with and the one that you know will be the quickest. If I were you while I was practicing, I would try both methods and kind of alternate, you know? And the day before the exam, focus on one, double down on that one. But you want to have the exposure on both methods. All right. That said, I hope this helped you out. I hope this gave you context. And I hope you get a better sense of how to solve for the NPV. Of course, this is an easier question, but you need to start somewhere. Now, if you want more content, if you want more stuff to help you study as a business student for intro to finance, accounting, etc., there are so many more resources available on my website. There are so many more resources available on YouTube where you're looking at this right now, hopefully. And then if you just look up Isma Helps online or on Facebook or Twitter, you should also be able to find a plethora of more resources. So I hope this helps you out. I want to make learning something that's accessible, inspiring, and also just free. This shouldn't be a hurdle or barrier for you. Okay. So see you on the next one. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully this was helpful. I'll see you on another one.